But I think so many people have stigmas about profound cultural events and things. You know, like people will have a stigmatized or emotional attachment to Star Wars and think it's something without seeing it, or think of a movie as a certain way and be like, oh, well, this person really likes it, and this is the vibe I get from it, so I'm probably not going to like it. Like,
did you ever see Monster Squad?
No, I don't know what that is.
You don't know? I'm not going to get into it. But anyways, that's one of those movies that like defined my youth.
Uh-huh.
And my buddies are like, we rewatched it. We think it sucks. And then I watched it again because I'm like, you guys can't be right. And they weren't. I still loved it.
There you go.
I saw it when I was older. I thought it was awesome.
It's a great movie. It's written by Shane Black.
Yeah. I actually never saw it as a kid, though. You know,
really?
Like, yeah. When I wanted to see it, no, I never saw it.
The name is Horace. All right, let's get into this show.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
Start. I'm ruining everything. As I laugh like Muttley.
Yeah. So you guys have had a super, super busy year. How many tours at this point? Let's see. There's the Me Without You, Pianos Become the Teeth tour. You had a UK tour in the summer.
UK and Europe.
I'm going backwards here. Sure. Taking Back Sunday, Let Live over the spring.
Yeah, and also in the beginning of the summer, there was we did a headline tour with Chumped in June.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, what was
Roger Harvey?
Some of the highlights of your past year in terms of shows.
Oh man, I guess the first part of it, doing the Take Back Sunday tour, was a lot of fun in the aspect that it wasn't a headline tour for us, so there was less pressure as far as being an unknown territory. We knew exactly what we were getting into. We knew that how many people were going to be at the show every night and what it was going to be like. And, we met a lot of people on that tour. We met some cool people in Let Live and in Take Back Sunday. It was really fun to tour with them. They're all really cool people that you can learn a lot from because they've been doing it for longer, and they're a more popular band, so you can kind of watch them and learn from them. And their crew were really cool people, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a long one though. That was the longest one that we've ever done, I think, and it was a little bit taxing. And then yeah, man, and in Europe it was the first time that we took a bus, so that was really fun. Really fun.
It wasn't like the Almost Famous no more planes.
I mean, not that far, but it was definitely like 5 a.m. can come pretty quick when you don't have to be somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And also every time you go to Europe, you're kind of in a situation where there's a communication barrier. Even with the fact that a lot of people speak English, it's still difficult to communicate it's difficult to vibe on people. They're culturally different. You can't get the same. You're not as sharp. You're in a foreign in another place that you're not used to being in, and I think it brings you closer together with the people that you're there with. So I think that tour kind of brought us at least emotionally closer together as a band and with our crew, our tour manager and our engineer, and that was really an experience. Our summer in Europe, it was wild. And we had the craziest fucking bus driver, man. This guy spoke hardly any English at all and would just yell shit. He was great. He called Greg Crewman. No, not Tourette's.
It wasn't like fuck ass.
Well, he would just like, this dude did a tour in Russia for like 4 months. This guy was the hardest person I've ever met, probably.
Did he have like the Russian prison tats or?
No, he was a German guy, or he was Dutch by way of Germany. I think he grew up in the Netherlands and then moved to northern Germany. But yeah, he just like was a real tough dude. He played the same CDs over and over again though, and they were ridiculous. It was like an Elvis Presley, like a German Elvis Presley cover band. He played that constantly. There was a guy who opened up one of the festivals that we played who was just playing like a Rhodes piano and just like doing these like weird lounge songs that were real funny. One of the songs you could only make out cocaine and marijuana at the end of the chorus. So you're just like, cocaine and marijuana, and the dude would play. You'd wake up at 7:30 in the morning and like roll out of your bunk and like this rocky, on this rocky bus, and sure enough, the bus driver would be up there singing along to this fucking weird CD. And you're like, okay, I get it. All right, we'll wake up. He ended up being a great dude though. We really you'd sit up there. If you sat up there in the front with him and attempted to like learn German words and talk about life and stuff, he really gained a lot of respect for you and it would be cool. You'd like open up a little bit. He'd be like, for you, safety is first. And he said that one day, and I was like, "Oh wow." He's like, "I come to venue and it is not safe. We leave." And I'm like, you're just like, "All right, well, thanks. I guess you value my life." Cool.
If it's no safe, we leave.
Yeah, he's a really, really interesting guy, and that was a really funny part about.
Do you still keep in touch with him?
No, I don't even. We tried to find him on. He's like, he told Greg and I he was on Facebook. We couldn't find him. Nobody knows how to spell his name.
Is that weird? Like going on tour where you're like, all right, we're getting like when you crew up and you're getting all these like people whom you have like this little family, and then you have this extended amount of people with you who like you're not really sure like.
Oh, totally.
Is there like that whole getting used to you phase?
Yeah, there's that, and it's also now you have assets. You'll have cash on you. You'll have like things that you need to protect, or you need your personal belongings. You worry about shady stuff. I mean, we've been robbed in Europe before. There's people who try to take advantage of you. That's not the overwhelming emotion involved, like the overwhelming vibe that goes on while you're there. But yeah, the whole. I think the best way to put it would be that you have to get real with people really fast. You don't have a time to get to know somebody over a long period of time. So you have to kind of. A lot of people who are in a touring situation, or when you're a touring musician, you get over talking about the weather really fast. So you'd be like, all right, well, what kind of like a emotional connection are we gonna have with this person in the next 2 weeks? So you just have to get to the business first, and then.
So what was it like going from because you guys moved to you all moved to Philly?
We did, yeah.
And then what was it like? Because I don't think we do a lot. Well, Rich does. I just kind of show up Mondays and now Wednesdays. But like he's incredibly involved with like the local scene. That's why it's called NEPA scene. Like and for you guys, like I don't think the people around here kind of have an understanding about like what it is to be a musician as like a profession. So can you kind of shine a little light on like, it's not party central and all that stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's one of the biggest obstacles I think that people face when they're trying to become a professional musician, is that they think that you get discovered. There's a word that people use a lot of times. You think you'll be in a bar or at a show and there'll be a record executive there and they'll see you and then they hand you a contract. It's a lot of work, a lot of hard work. You have to practice and practice and practice, and also keep your shit intact and be disciplined. It's like if you need to practice 4 times a week, you practice 4 times a week, and you practice at 5 o'clock. Everybody's got to be there at 5 o'clock. If you're there at 6:30, then fuck you. Like why? What are we gonna wait for you? That kind of. It's definitely not party central. It is party central when you make time. You work hard, play hard, I guess would be the best way to put it. So you work hard, practice hard, and then you get to reward yourself with. Doing some like drinking wine in Paris. And one time we played a show at Tiger's Jaw in Scotland. We were all in an apartment in Scotland, like
that's beautiful,
being ridiculous, drinking beer and stuff. And then we were like, we know what we need to do. We need to listen to Rock 107. So we took a computer and found.
Are you shitting me?
Oh, it was the best. Found iHeartRadio, or some kind of streaming service where they had Rock 107 on it. We were just blasting it in an apartment in like a 1800 or like 1,000-year-old building in Edinburgh. A bunch of guys from Scranton and guys and girls from Scranton. It was, it's really cool. That's the kind of reward that you get. And yeah, being a professional musician is definitely, it's like being a small business owner, being anything else that you want to be good at. If you want to be good at it, you really have to work hard. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, because I definitely have fucked off plenty of times in my life. But yeah, it definitely is not as easy as television and movies and stuff kind of make it seem to be.
Now, what was it like being from an unsigned band to now having a major label behind you? A lot of people now, it seems like they're running away from major labels, or they're trashing major labels, but it seems like you guys have a great relationship with Epitaph.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Epitaph's actually an independent label, but so it's not quite a major label, but it's a large independent label, and they treat us with tons of respect, and we treat them with a lot of respect, and they are really, really have always been so good to us. And every time we go and meet them, or every interaction that we have with them is just positive, and it seems like everybody's on the same page, that page being the one where people, treat each other right and are into the same things. They want to sign really cool bands, and they do, and they really believed in us, and they've invested a lot in us, and they've shown us how to be a cool band. The relationship with them has been fantastic, but going from an unsigned band to that was definitely, we got signed to Go-Kart Records pretty early on. That was like we thought it was going to be different than it was, but we definitely have to send a lot of love to Greg Ross from Go Kart Records for, we drove from here in Scranton up to Rochester and met him at a Wegmans, in like the parking lot. And we went in and ate a pizza, and he had lost his luggage. So he was wearing sweat shorts and a sweatshirt that he borrowed from his dad, and we were like, who the fuck is this guy? This is wild. But then we came home, we were all like freaking out. I remember we all wrote down on a piece of paper how many albums we thought we would sell of the first record, or sorry, how many copies of the first record we thought we would sell, and then Greg put it in his wallet, and then we looked at it, and the numbers were ridiculous. It was like, oh dude, we're gonna sell 50,000 records, man. And we were just like all, really, really starry-eyed. For us, it was from going from an unsigned band to a signed band at Epitaph. It was very gradual. It wasn't really like an all at once kind of thing that shook us and fucked with us. And I think that's a good thing.
So you guys never had like that quick gratification. It was like you were always working towards the next level.
Yeah,
it was never
definitely.
like.
I mean, there's some parts that were quick. We got flown to LA to meet Epitaph Records, and some of us, I think one of us had never been on a plane before, and most of us hadn't been on a plane since we were children, like little kids. So the fact that somebody paid for all four of us to go on an airplane and go to Los Angeles to talk to them was like the craziest thing. It's wild.
Now, I remember we did an interview a couple years ago, and you'd said that meeting went so well. It was like a barbecue kind of thing.
Yeah, we had a barbecue
really
out back. Totally. We talked shop for a little bit, and then there were like Brett Gerwitz, who owns Epitaph Records, is the bass player of Bad Religion, and it's a band that we grew up with, and like they shaped my life. And just to be able to sit in the back of Epitaph Records in the parking lot and listen to him tell stories from back in the day while we just had a couple beers was surreal. It's wild.
Was that a weird like starstrucky moment?
Oh, totally. We were all sitting, nobody knew what to say. We just kind of sat there, and I think that they could tell. He could tell, and he definitely, anytime there's like a bunch of silence, he'll like just start talking to break it. And yeah, it was cool.
Because it wasn't like one of those. Because I always found, because I used to work in LA, I used to do films and shit.
Oh, okay.
Like the starstruck thing after like the first minute and a half like goes away, and you just realize that they're people who sleep and use the restroom.
Oh, I'd hope so. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I could see that, especially in a working environment where that would definitely. I mean, that's definitely happened to us too. I've run into some musicians that I really looked up to, and then was just like, oh well, I guess that's just that. But still, a part of it is for us has always been. It's easy to get starstruck. It's cool.
I mean, but it's almost like, for me, it was like a comfort where I was like, oh, they're just like a person.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it brings everything in full circle. And you're like, oh, all right, this person, they just dropped their something, and now they have to pick it. Any flaw, and it shows their humanity.
He spilled his coffee.
Yeah, he spilled his coffee.
He's
Holy
a human.
Shit. Yeah.
So it's been I was looking on your guys' social media, and it's been 5 years since Chamberlain Waits. That's so weird to me.
Yeah, I guess it has been 5 years, hasn't it? Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it's
feel
weird
old.
to think about the just in the small amount of time, how far you guys have come too.
Yeah.
Listening to do you look back at the other records and fondly, or do you like, oh, I wish we had done this differently, or how do you look at the older stuff as compared to what you're doing now?
When I don't really listen to it that often, but we'll play it, and sometimes I'll listen to it, especially if I'm like on a long drive with myself or something. I'll think, oh, I haven't listened to this record in a year. Why don't I throw it on?
Sure.
It's fun because it brings you back to the times that you wrote it, and since we write lyrics, it brings you back to the emotional state and life situation that you were in when you wrote the lyrics. So it's nostalgic and fun to revisit that, and also how to contemplate on how you've grown since then. One thing that we've always done, I think we try to do personally, is look forward and try to see where the world's going and where we're going in the world. So it's you can kind of use that as an apply that to records and think, oh well, this is really fun. We played this back then. This is a cool song. A lot of times it'd be like, oh man, this song is really good. Like I forgot how good this song was. And then you realize, I'm way better at guitar than I was then, or I'm way better at singing than I was then. I know a lot more about the world, and I feel more comfortable in my own skin since I did then. So you try to, I think that everything that we make is better than what it was before, or at least different.
Well, that I assume that's the goal, is to always kind of be
trying to get better. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it's been a couple years since Rented World. So you guys working on something else now? Or?
Yeah, we're going to be home writing for a long time now.
Okay.
Yeah. We're starting it now. So
how long does that process usually take? Is this something that
that's the thing is there's no formula, and it's just kind of even the writing process. There's not really a formula for us. So we just kind of not wing it, but change it each time to fit our lives.
But you're not having like pressure to be like, we need to.
I mean, there's always that pressure because we do it professionally, so we can't just like, oh, I guess I'll just take the next 6 months.
No, you
and
can't just fuck off.
Right,
but,
yeah,
right.
But yeah, there's not like an overwhelming pressure. There's not an unwanted pressure. I'll say, yeah, there's definitely nobody breathing down our necks. I mean, except for the fact that also when you're on a touring cycle, so you'll release a record and then you're on a touring cycle for the record, and if you just keep touring on the same record, people will get bored and less people will come to your shows, and then it'll feel, you feel start dragging down and stuff.
What's the longest stretch you went on the road?
Sorry.
You can burp, man.
I think like 6 weeks, a little over 6 weeks, maybe.
And
I could be wrong.
Is it just you and the band, or like do you get to bring the girlfriend, or do you get to?
No, it's just us in the band, and sometimes girlfriend will fly out and meet us, or we'll come back to Philly in the middle of a tour, so we'll take a day off after before. And
I mean, does that get ragged where you're just like, man, I just want this to end?
Once in a while, yeah. But, not for like a long period of time. No, totally. Get home. Sometimes you want to go home. Not for like the last week of a tour, but for, an hour a day for the last week of the tour. Or like maybe one particular day, you're like, man, I really just want to go home. Especially if you get sick or something. Like there's nothing worse than being sick on tour where you just...
Like even a cold.
Yeah, even a cold. You can't do anything. You just have to sit there and everybody's, it's a really... it's a late night, so you wake up late and you play, and then by the time you're done loading out, it's like 1 a.m. And you're like, all right, well, I guess I'll go to bed now, even though it's 2 o'clock, and I feel like shit, and I just want to die.
And there's no more Netflix.
Totally. But then you just realize, I'm on tour, so it's just all fine. I do what I want.
And you do.
Yeah. It's cool.
So I'm sure there's a lot of our listeners are local artists, local bands, things like that. So I'm sure they.
I'm still surprised people listen. I'm just saying, especially with me.
They're out there, and I'd imagine they'd want to know, what does it take to be a successful band? What does it take to be a touring band? Because a lot of people want to get to that point, but like you said, it takes a lot of work. So I mean, what kind of advice do you have?
I guess just really believe in yourself. Well, a couple things. One, just for life, you have to be comfortable with yourself and believe in yourself. I think to be a complete person, that's really, really important. And work really hard. And also, whoever you play in a band with, you all have to be on the same page. So many of my friends play with each other and they'll be best friends and they'll play in a band, but it'll be obvious to me that they're not on the same page. Like one person will want to do one thing, one person will not want to tour, let's say, and then if you look at it and examine it, then you'll realize that it can't work because one person wants one thing and one is just inevitably going to be a fatal conflict. But yeah, I guess the advice I would give would be to work hard and make sure that you have a lot of fun and everybody's on the same page. And also meet bands from other towns and trade shows with them. Play a show, meet a band from wherever, play a show in their town, then you play a show here, and then that's how you can start to tour, because you kind of can't just dive out into it.
And I'd imagine you're still learning because like you said, you were talking to Taking Back Sunday.
Constantly.
They're what kind of things do you have you taken away from those kind of interactions?
Oh, that's kind of like my question.
Yeah, okay. I guess you kind of learn how to deal with, like there's simple things you'll learn, like somebody might pass you on a spreadsheet that'll make your job easier, so stuff like that. Just like logistical things. And then there's the more emotional and philosophical things, like how to treat people that work for you, or how to treat each other, or how to treat yourself, and how not to party too hard, or how to handle it when somebody parties too hard, like that stuff like that. You kind of learn.
What do you think? Either as an individual or as a band, like maybe one of the major life lessons of the last decade, as far as growth or this prophetic.
I think going back to the way that you have to look at yourself, because if you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself, then it's more difficult to have healthy relationships with other people. And that's that's something that I don't think anybody's ever come to a full closure with, and everybody probably struggles with that constantly. And I'm not talking about people who have self-confidence issues or something, but you just have to, oh yeah, sure. Somebody who
No. We'll pause.
We'll pause to get the open
We're
the
gonna put
beer
a
while I
pin
talk
in that.
about talking.
I thought they were twists.
Well, that one was. This one.
Who? And just, like a frat basement, just throw the cap on the floor.
Thanks a lot, Rich. But yeah, I think in my life, the biggest thing that's helped me over the last 10 years is just being self-aware, I guess. Being self-aware, because once you're self-aware, then you can start to change yourself.
Now, what do you mean by self-aware? Like aware of like how you're behaving or how you're
aware of how you're behaving and how it affects those around you and how it affects yourself. I think that the worst thing that you could do while you're on tour, everybody's confined to a small space, is
fart.
Inconvenient. Well, sometimes, man, no, I'm not we had this joke running about the fart Nazi. It was like you get really, whenever people get really mad when somebody farts, you're like, man, everybody's just farting, But this is, a long
Just open
time
a window.
ago.
It's over.
Yeah, right. It's a while ago, and it was nobody was actually mad. It was just a running joke. It was great. But yeah, just being so when you're on tour, you think even in your life, think about it, like an asshole is the worst person that you want to deal with. Male, female, old, young. When someone else's bullshit affects your life, that's a problem. And if your bullshit is affecting somebody else's life, then you're the problem. And then if everybody in the world just stopped putting their bullshit on everybody else, then it would be a lot better place. I guess it's some kind of like perverted take on the golden rule. It's just
What's that? I mean, that's my philosophy, right? What's my philosophy? You know it.
Don't be a dick.
Close. What's the other side of that? What's the back side of it? The front side's a dick. Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
Yeah. I just think that's. I think that's the golden rule.
Totally. And but a lot of times, a lot of times people don't even realize they're being an asshole, and you have to examine yourself and be like, wow, I am just my stubbornness in this situation, or my lack of stubbornness in this situation, is inconveniencing people in a way. Like think about religious fanaticism. That's insane. You make people think a certain way and do a certain thing. You have political people.
But usually it's
politically
apocryphal because they're doing the opposite of what they're telling people. Which is always
that's true. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Overcompensation. Those psycho people. But yeah, I think that to get philosophical,
do it.
Self-awareness and self-improvement is definitely the biggest thing that I've approached in the last 10 years. I think that people can really benefit from.
I think that's the Scranton in you.
Maybe, I think it might be.
It's
never gonna
this is a
leave.
hard Scrabble town.
Oh
As
yeah,
I heard someone once say, which I was like, what does that mean?
I don't know what it means, but I like that. Yeah, totally.
Like a hard Scrabble town like Scranton, and I'm like, what? All right.
All right.
Scrabble is difficult.
A difficult
got
word
hard.
game?
Yeah, I don't know. Scranton. like Throop.
Oh,
Right.
Troop.
It's really hard to pronounce.
Troop. Well, that's like I was telling you guys before we started the podcast, showing somebody. I don't even remember who it was. It might have been in Europe. It might have been in, I forget where it was. We were showing somebody polka because they had not seen it before.
Oh, yeah, you were
And I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
in Scranton, the Pennsylvania polka, man. What are you talking about? And we showed them the YouTube video from, was it WNEP?
No, WVIA.
WVIA. I
Yes.
gotta get it right. WVIA had it, and their mind was blown. It was really funny.
Their marketing dollars just went down. They're like, the Menzingers just confused us with.
So when can we expect the Menzingers Polka album?
Oh, it's done. It's getting mastered right now. Yeah.
Butch Vig's doing it.
Yeah, Butch Vig's mixing it.
Yep.
Great.
It's like, I think you're onto something here.
Yeah.
Maybe it's coming. That's a genre of music that I think will never have a resurgence of any kind.
All it's gonna take. All right, so think about it. Swing came back in the '90s. All it's
For like
gonna
a
take
split
is a
second.
for a split second. All it's gonna take is a surplus in the budget, no wars, a good strong economy, and then next thing you know, fucking polka's gonna be popular.
Strike up the music. No, Pennsylvania. I don't know why I'm singing it that way, but
So are you?
would you shit? Seriously, like, would you shit if, 5 years from now, like, NEPA scene's kicking ass, still covering everything locally, and the big thing is a polka band, and you're like, I have to cover it.
Right.
Would you?
Oh, I would.
I mean, yeah, but would you, like, out of like this weird, or would you like take it like out of this morbid curiosity or like this weird curiosity, you'd be like, I'm actually excited to go?
Well,
talk to this faux polka band that's
I'd
fictional?
be excited about it.
I would be excited about it, and I would go back to this podcast and be like, "See, we called it."
Yep.
And that was, you know what? Always the interesting. The bands were huge. How did everybody get paid?
That's a good question.
People
bought records, so I think that might have been.
Is that what it was?
Maybe, yeah.
My buddy made a documentary around here. It's called "The Man Who Would Be Polka King," and there was a guy, Jan Luan, I think was his name, big polka guy around here, like in the 90s, ran a pyramid scheme where he stole like millions of dollars from the elderly.
Oh, God, that's awful.
And apparently now it's going to be a Jack Black movie.
Oh, wow.
So my buddy who wrote it, it was on Netflix, but if you can find it, The Man Who Would Be Polka King, it's so amazing.
Wow.
And you
Is it on iTunes or something?
I believe
sure,
it's on
yeah.
it's on
I'll find
iTunes,
it.
Amazon, but it was on Netflix for a period of time. And my buddy, like he just texted me like 20 minutes ago. He's the guy who did it. And
We had him on the show
awesome.
once. I thought that
we
was
have
so
McCulloch
interesting.
on.
Yeah.
Oh, he could. The Man Who Would Be. It's actually incredible. Like what this guy did. Like he would bring people over to Vatican City to meet the Pope.
Wow.
And take their money.
Wow.
So like he'd embezzle like all this shit.
Damn.
And it's amazing when you watch it. But the cool thing about it is like talking about nostalgia. You actually see like all the old Pennsylvania polka clips.
Wow.
From VIA. It's awesome.
That's
and everybody
so
do
good.
the up down dance.
I definitely gotta check that out.
It's really good.
So are you guys in songwriting mode now, or
Yeah.
Where-
Trying to get into songwriting mode at least.
now is that something that you're always doing? Like, are you writing on the road, or are you doing it like when you sit down and do a session together?
So we write a lot of times. We write the four of us together. So Greg or I will bring chords and some lyrics in, and some a rough structure, and then the four of us will kind of really shape the song. So we get a lot more done when we're home. So when we're not on tour, but while we're on tour, definitely, I think because you're moving, your mind is going, and you're kind of constantly being inspired by the type of people that you run into and the places that you go. That it's kind of easier to write lyrics and things like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where do you usually get your inspiration from?
I don't know, anywhere. We went to, my girlfriend and I went to the art museum the other day, and this is like the most pretentious thing I've said in a long time. But we went to the art museum the other day, and I came home and was inspired. I was like, wow, this is great. Not by the contemporary art section or the modern art section, sorry, but just seeing, just seeing all the people there and the dedication of, and just seeing you get a sense of time. There's a Japanese tea garden there, and some really, really old artifacts at the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and it kind of puts humanity and your life into perspective. And I was really inspired. It was great.
Out of all the places that you've been, right?
Mhm.
Where's the one place where you'd be like, you know what? I'd like to write here.
I don't know. That's a really good question. For me, it would probably. Wow. I don't know. It might
Holy
be,
shit! This is the first time in like 43 podcasts I asked a stumpy question.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I don't. There's so many places. I wish I could just go to a different one every day. But definitely. I don't know. Maybe here.
In Scranton?
Maybe, yeah. This is where we wrote a lot of our material. We actually came up here and sequestered ourselves to write our record on the Impossible Pass. We stayed in Lake Ariel for a couple weeks and did it there. And we wrote like 6 songs there, like the 6 best songs. It was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Now, where was, and then as a follow-up, where is the one place that you've ever toured where you were kind of like awestruck by like either the environment or like, some sort of architectural masterpiece or some sort of story that happened there?
Probably name your place in Europe. Anyway, playing in Bologna, even though the show wasn't that cool. Well, actually, not take that back. The show was great. Playing in Northern Italy was really, really awesome and interesting just to see. Because you just have all this, people are doing the same exact shit that they've been doing for like 2,000 years. They have there's some Roman infrastructure left there, some aqueducts and stuff, but in the town center, there were 2 giant towers. They were, kind of leaning, and they'd been there since, an unfathomable amount of time for an American. And then there's just people like drunks and shit hanging out underneath and eating pizza and fucking around. Like, people have just been walking around this town square doing whatever for so long, and it's just kind of mind blowing.
Like this 3,000-year-old structure, people are just like,
people have just been hanging out and drinking beer here for like, for
Millennium.
whatever. Yeah. sitting here reading. People have been sitting here and reading forever. I guess it's wild.
I mean, do you walk up to that and you're like, but what are you guys doing?
Oh, yeah.
Is there some sort of reverence where you're like, I don't think you should be doing that?
No, well, I think everybody's just kind of in the sense, especially as an American, it feels because they're all just so laid back. So they look like they've got nowhere to go, which they don't, I guess, but they're really, they're just really laid back, and there's no sense of urgency anywhere. There's no, nobody's hustling anything.
In Europe.
Well, in some places in Europe. I mean, you can go to England and it's kind of mirrored. It's like an older America.
But it's not like New York City or LA where it's like, I gotta go somewhere. I need something to, like the stress of like.
No, maybe in London, yeah, and maybe in certain parts of Berlin and Paris or wherever the stereotypical giant world cities are. But yeah, some of the smaller places, and so every town in Europe is usually structured around a town center or a square. So we went on tour with our friends, and apologies, I have none. And our friend John was with them, and he said every town he goes to in Europe, he's like, yeah, I gotta go have a beer in the square. I gotta go have a tea in the square or coffee or whatever. And you're like, okay. And so you realize these little towns that you went to, the entire town is built around one square with like a fountain. Every town, no matter how big or how small.
Really?
Yeah. And you just go and you drink a beer in the square, and then you're like, all right, well, I just had the most European experience you could kind of get, and then go and do your thing. But we don't seem to really do it as much here. And I'm not saying it's better here, worse here, but it just seems to be. It puts things into a perspective, and it decreases your sense of self-importance. I think because you're just like, oh, well, this is something that people have been doing forever, and what I've been doing forever, doesn't matter. It's cool.
Are the audiences overseas differently? Different? Are you do you play differently for them, or do they receive the music differently?
We don't necessarily play differently for them. Sometimes we do because they'll be into people will request stuff or whatever. But besides England, it's definitely different. And I always kind of compare it as a joke, and it's kind of making fun of them as there's like a crowd full of The Sims, because sometimes they'll kind of look like people from The Sims. Like in America, it gets where our shows can get really rowdy. There'll be people climbing on each other, and they're just like doing whatever. And over there, everybody's just kind of even though they have a less of a sense of a personal space, they kind of just all bop around and yeah. And there's something called the German compliment, which is like a bad. They're so efficient in Germany that they socially.
I think we want to rephrase that.
No, they're efficient people. They're great engineers. Like everything you go over there is just a little bit better than it is here. Even down to like doorknobs, or you'll see a gadget.
Wait, what's the difference between a doorknob in Germany?
Well, you just be like, this is just a better doorknob than the one I would have at home. Like this is just makes more sense. They'll have windows that just work better. You'll go into a bathroom and there'll be some kind of gadget. You're just like, of course, that's great. Like a little thing that sticks out of the door so you can open the door with your shoe after you wash hands, so you don't have to touch the handle.
Oh, like the pulley thing.
Yeah, just
right.
Just a little piece of whatever, piece of plastic. You pull it over. But yeah, just little stuff like that.
So you don't have to touch the doorknob.
Yeah, it's not in every bathroom, but that was the first place I saw it, was Germany. But you'll go over there and you'll be like, oh, this is, a really funny and efficient way to package this sandwich that you would just never see, Just dumb shit like that. But the German compliment is somebody will be like, oh, I really liked your set, but the third and fourth song, they weren't good. And then they'll just walk away. And you'll be like, all right, well... Thank you. You're just completely honest with me, and you're trying to drive straight home to the point, All right.
Well, for a region that's been through 2 world wars, I think they're just like, why not be honest? That's why I moved back to Scranton, man. People stab you in the heart here before they stab you in the back.
That's definitely
that's
true.
what I loved about it.
Yeah, I think that's generally true for the Northeast as well.
Is it really?
For sure. Yeah, the East Coast is. That's one of the things that when we first started touring the West Coast, not to make broad, sweeping generalizations of people, but there are things that are culturally a little bit different, and the way that we approach things up here is definitely stereotypically more straightforward and hard. Like any one of us would tell the other person about something that we found disagreeable before we would wait for them to walk away. But not in a malicious way. No. Or if it needed to be in a malicious way, but probably not. But you would say it right to your face instead of waiting for you to walk away and be like, "Ooh, I really hate that guy." And be like,
"No, I saw a dude at a West Side bar, and like how like you can be in a bar and you're like, something's gonna happen. Yeah, I don't know who it's gonna be. I don't know what it's gonna be, but something's gonna happen." And I saw this guy just drill this guy in the face down to the ground, picks him up, hands him a beer, and he goes, "And you're not going to do that again, right?" And he's like, "Nope." And I was like, fuck yeah. Like, this is that town where you can punch somebody in the face and buy them a beer and everything's all right. And they'll never do it again. I don't know. It's a weird like alcohol respect line. I don't know.
Yeah. No, totally. It's like, hey, you know.
I like that's what I like though. I like
I think you put it really well when you said stab him in the heart and before you stab him in the back. So it's
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make a T-shirt.
Yep.
Maybe that'll be the new Scranton T-shirt. That's the new logo. Welcome to Scranton. We'll stab you in the heart.
And then on the back of the shirt, it can say before we stab you in the back.
Yes.
See, there you go.
Yes. All right. We came to this together. I will pay for the production. We will split the profits.
Hey, keep him. Keep him.
No.
Yep.
No, it's not fair. See, Scranton's fair. We like to play fair.
Fair enough.
And you know, Scranton in general, I think you know, plays such a role in your music and in the you know, inspiration for the lyric. Why does it still stick with you? You know, these years later, because I mean, you've been in Philly for a few years now.
Yeah, I've been there for 8 years, I think.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, is that right? No, I've been there for a long time. It might be not that long. It might be 7 years. But this is where we grew up. So I think our formative years were spent here, and that's kind of how we were shaped. So it's kind of, at the time, our worldview, the foundations were all laid here. So any way that we look at the rest of the world, no matter what, in part, we're going to relay it back to what we learned here. So our family's here, what we learned from the environment when we were in, from the culture around here. And this is a very culture-rich place. I'm not just saying that because I'm from here. A lot of times, like, it took us a little bit to realize when we started to go on tour, there's not that many cities where people are second, third, fourth generation from the immigrants that came here, especially like white people. Like usually, you know, you meet, like, have some friends that are of Mexican descent or, you know, Asian descent that can connect right back. But it's really weird to be like, oh yeah, my grandma's Irish. You know, like that's not a thing that really happens. And I think that whole, many of the different groups of people that lived here and call this place home created a rich cultural and interesting thing. Like I know Polish food, Italian food, and, you know, before I went to Poland or Italy, and that's not something that you really run into in a lot of places, you know.
So when you walked into Poland, you're like, I'll have the halushki.
Oh, I'll have the halushki. I don't think they call it halushki, but I got halushki while I was there, or halupki. Definitely got lots of pierogies in Poland. I love Poland. Poland's a great, really, really cool place.
You know who was just there? Corey was just there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he said it was one of his favorite places. And he bought like all of his new sweatshirts from Poland, and they like have a side zipper. It's really strange.
Yeah.
It's very like Euro, like,
yeah, totally Euro.
Welcome to the disco, and it's like this side
yeah.
zipper thing. But what did you think about? We shot a documentary on music in Ireland like 2 or 3 years ago, which I still have to edit. But what I was really scared about the food. Like, what was the food going to be like over in Europe? I thought it was incredible.
It's good. It's all right. You know, stereotypically the English have like the worst food, and
stereotypically,
and a lot of times it's, you know, it's really rich, and it's like bar food. That's all they eat. You know, if you eat like regular English person's diet, I'd understand why they would say it's not good, because it's just kind of bland, and, you know, it can be gross. You know, if you don't
like blood pudding.
Like, oh God, blood pudding. That's made from blood. Like, what?
that was slid in front of me, and I slid it right back, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah, I mean, every place you go is going to have the good food, and when you go over there as a tourist or a visitor, you're going to be exposed to the good food because you're not shopping and cooking at your house, and you're not eating the normal food that a person there eats. But yeah, I thought the Irish food was good, man. I had a great time.
I was just blown away because I was like, it's just going to be potatoes and like an herb.
Yeah,
and it was like the best steak I ever had. It was like all the best food. Like even their quote unquote fast food places, the food's really good. and
a lot of them they're high. They have a higher standard of regulation as well when it comes to things.
Yeah,
like
we
fast
need to
food.
do that.
Yeah,
I don't know why we're not doing that here.
Because it's expensive.
So
hey, I'm all for it.
I'd rather force people to eat better.
Yeah, totally.
Pay for it.
Yeah, you get save money in healthcare in the long run, right?
No shit.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the holiday show. You guys have been doing this. What is this? The 5th year?
This
now?
is the 5th year.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
So how did the idea first come about for the holiday show?
It was right around the time where us and Tiger's Jaw and Captain Sinking started to gain more national recognition, and excuse me, and a lot of us didn't live in the same. A lot of us had moved away, so it was a homecoming. We thought, hey, let's have this giant party at the Kaiser Valley Community Center, and we did, and it was awesome. And then the next year, we kind of didn't organize it. I didn't organize it on time. We kind of put together the last minute. and it's still one. It was a lot of fun. And then every year it's just gotten it's grown in itself. But yeah, the first year definitely the idea was, and it was I mean, I'll be honest with you, it was dodgy the first year. We kind of just we just got a couple kegs and like put up picnic tables, and we're like, okay, if you're not 21, you can't come over here. And we just I mean, yeah.
Crossed your fingers, hope for the best.
Yeah. Well, no, we had people. We had like our friends who worked at venues in Philly come up, and it definitely was not. And we didn't know any better. I didn't know that I wasn't as familiar with the laws. Yeah, I wasn't as familiar with insurance and event insurance and things like that, and all the things that goes into.
Trust me, man. Nobody usually thinks about that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I know now very well, and thank God I didn't have to learn from any mistakes. I just had to learn, but it was really good. It was like the last ridiculous hurrah that we had. That was just totally irresponsible. But we had a lot of fun. It was good.
And it's grown in terms of venue every year too. Now you guys are at the Cultural Center, which is huge.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing some great shows there. And it seems like they haven't had a lot of concerts there lately, unless that it's something maybe touring through the area or something. Just regular like homegrown shows. You haven't seen anything there in a long time. There used to be the basement shows that were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be in that kind of room. I mean, that room is huge.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's really big. The room's huge, and the Scranton Cultural Center have been a huge partner, a huge help in this. They've given us an amazing deal on the room. They've been very, very helpful, and they're really excited about helping us raise money for the cause and helping us facilitate a coming together of the people who are into this music at a venue like theirs. It's not like you said, they haven't been having that many concerts, and they could just go the other route and have not necessarily go the other route, but they could just do for profit, kind of run everything and go. But they really have been a great partner and a huge help, and they definitely believe in the same things that we believe in, and it's been a little bit inspiring to hear what they have to say about it. It's cool.
Can you talk about what the money's going to?
Oh yeah, it's going to 2 arts and music programs for the youth in northeastern Pennsylvania. One of them is the Arts Alive program, which goes on during the summer and takes kids. I don't remember what the age range is exactly, so I don't want to say it. But yeah, we put a couple of students each year through with the money from the holiday show. And also there's another youth arts and music program over the summer at the Scranton Cultural Center that we're also donating the money to. And that for us, a lot of our friends, none of us in the actual band, I think, went to Arts Alive, but a lot of our friends and a lot of the people from the other bands, that was where they got a start getting an actual grasp on arts and music and how it applies to them and what they can do professionally or scholarly. So you start to build a portfolio and you learn from professionals, and it gives you something really positive to do over the summer, and definitely makes them really builds up your sense of self-worth and sharpen your skills. And I think it's a really positive thing to try to help foster that in this area, because it's where we all came from, where we all got it. It kind of, if nobody does it, then it's just going to go away. And a lot of times the first thing that gets cut when you're doing budget cuts is arts and music programs, because it just seems like it's not important,
Right. So, in terms of the lineup, can you talk about the bands that are on there? I mean, obviously, some of the ones that have been there from the beginning are on there, and then we also have the second reunion of the Swims, which is pretty awesome.
That's really cool. We grew up going to the Swim shows, and they're one of the most inspiring bands. They're so much fun. They're so awesome. We're really stoked to have them back again. I think all right, I'm not going to give anything away. I was about to give away something about them, but I don't think they announced
they're going
it's a
to
secret.
be there.
They're all right. They're going to be there. But yeah, every band, even since the last one we've had, has grown. 3-Man Cannon signed to a new record label and released a record this year that is very mature for them. It's so awesome. It's more of an indie rock record, and it's they've really, really grown and come into themselves, and it's really, really exciting for them. Pedal is a newer band, and they've signed to Run for Cover recently and just put out a record. It's awesome. It's getting really good critical reception. And then you have Captain We're Sinking and Tiger's Jaw and us, who are all just doing the same thing we've been doing and trying to tour and tour. It was really funny over the fall while we were doing our headline tour, our co-headline tour with Me Without You. Tiger's Jaw were a couple days behind us the entire time on the West Coast. So it was like, I'll be like hitting Ben up. Hey man, where are you? He's like, I'm going to be there in 2 days. It was really funny. And so that happens a lot when you're on tour, but.
Do you have anything special planned for this tour or for this show in particular?
We're gonna play some old songs that we normally don't play. I think that would be the most special thing. Nothing too far beyond that. We're kind of it's our last full band show of the year, and it's our last full band show for a while, and we're really it's gonna feel really good. So I think that we're gonna have just as much or more fun than everybody else because we're it's like not really much pressure. We're like, okay, we can just have fun with our friends and our family and kind of get this done.
Try to go out on top.
Yeah, try to go out. Well, yeah, we'll go out on top. Knock on wood somewhere. Yeah, it'll work.
How's that? I've brain farted. I'm sorry.
Sometimes I'll do that in the middle while I'm answering an interview question and realize I'm talking about something that had nothing to do with the person asked me. I'm just like, shit, I got to make something up. All right, go. And then, yeah.
And that's how I found the French fries in the back of the van. And, we ate them.
Yeah, and then so we went to the hospital. We ate them. Yeah. I'm sure something similar to that has happened in the past.
Well, you asked this to Bobby last time, so I'm going to ask him this because I thought his answer was pretty funny.
I asked a question that you are repeating.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yes. Worst or most ridiculous show that you've ever done?
Oh man, there's like so many parameters to that I can't even pick one. You know, there's so many fucking weird things that we've done.
What's what stands out like weirdest, and then what stands out like absolute abject horror awful?
Well, the abject horror awful ones are always going to involve something that's like, brutal. Okay, I just found out this person died and I have to play, or I just
okay,
I have the flu and I got to play, that kind of shit.
Right.
But the most ridiculous show I can think of would be we played with the Holy Mess, our friends from the Poconos actually, who also live in Philly. It was our first tour. I was with them down to Florida to play the fest and back up. We were playing in Birmingham, Alabama at an art space. So like a modern art kind of space where people just did whatever. There was, weird, indiscernible things hanging up all over the walls and stuff like that. And the lady shows up and she's like, yeah, I'm running the show. And she's like 7 or 8 months pregnant for sure. She's just, this skinny Southern lady with these giant boots on, just owning it. And she's like, any of y'all got a cigarette? And we were like, I guess. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you're not supposed, nobody said anything. And, sure enough, she's just, raging down smokes all night. And she's like, I can't pay you, but here's a keg. So she brings a keg.
What?
And then Dixie cups. So she gave everybody 4-ounce Dixie cups. So everybody was drinking, it was just kind of a joke. Everybody was like taking shots of beer around the keg and trying to find other things that you can use as a cup. Steve-O from the Holy Mess is one of the strongest and characters and personalities I've ever met. One of the coolest people. Found some kind of goofy vase thing. We're just filling that up with beer. And sure enough, as the night goes on, we start realizing, she's getting drunk, isn't she? So by the end of the night, you have this lady, she's hammered, smoking cigarettes. We don't get paid. Or playing in an art space in Birmingham, Alabama, and then, we went and slept somewhere.
Then 2 hours later, the baby was born.
And then 2 hours later, the baby was born, drunk and nicotine, whatever.
They named him Camel Non-Filter.
But yeah, the whole vibe of that night was just really funny. One of the bands canceled. Another band came and had a drum machine, and it wasn't working. And they were used to playing much bigger shows, so they were really upset. And we were all just kind of like, "Hey, where's our first tour?" And some of us aren't 21, so let's have a blast.
So you got to go. I got to go. What's the future? Besides the album, are you guys going to go on tour next year? Or?
Oh yeah, we'll do lots of touring next year. We're we're working on the album now, so we're trying to figure it out. We're not sure exactly. We have nothing set in stone for next year right now, which is rare. Usually we're ready to go months in advance. We had the Me Without You tour booked in like April or something ridiculous like that. So it's kind of weird that our future is just that open, but it's kind of welcoming. And I'm going to be home right now for the longest time I've been home in a while. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it.
Come back in town, do it again.
Yeah, definitely will. Maybe get the other guys to come too. Be awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, can they drink?
Oh, they can drink.
Yeah. So then we'll get more breakfast beer.
I'll have to bring more than a 6-pack.
Yeah, oh yeah. Or we won't. We'll just we'll bring a 6-pack. There you go.
What time's the show, and what's the
Yes, please.
ticket prices?
The ticket price is $20 advance and $25 a day of the show. It is Saturday, December 19th. It starts at 5:00.
And all proceeds benefit.
All proceeds benefit youth music and arts programs in northeastern Pennsylvania.
And I know a lot of the same people come and support the holiday show year after year after year. What if you've never gone to the holiday show before? Why should people go? Why should people see this?
So you can meet a bunch of other people from the area that are into the same thing as you. You meet a bunch of friends, start to help, build a scene, and it's gonna be fun. And there's gonna be beer there too. So that's a
win-win.
Do they? Oh yeah, they do serve.
Yeah,
I'm
they'll
an
serve.
idiot. My sister had her wedding there.
Unless you're not 21, then you absolutely 100% cannot drink.
No.
And
how many people are you
I'll kill
expecting?
if you drink? I don't know. We'll see. Right now, there's I think 750 tickets sold, so they're going fast. So you gotta get them.
Yeah, last year was packed, wasn't it? At the Leonard.
Yeah, last year was great.
Dude, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And you can finish all your beer.
I have to. Oh, I will.
Have a Merry Christmas, man. Tell all the guys too and everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you.
To have
guys
an awesome
too.
time, and I'll tell my mom.
Oh, you have to. I'm so excited. I think she works with my mom now. My mom's a teacher at Western.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Want to FaceTime her?
No. Wait, what time is it? 10?
No, not your mom. My mom.
Oh, no. I can't.
We'll do a selfie then.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. Have a good night, everybody.
Hey, good night.
See you, dude.
Hell yeah. That's it. Oh, that was great.